Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a nice Christmas and a nice New Year. Well, probably because of all what's been happening this year, it is going to be very different to past years. You will be with your family at home and not being able to see your extended family. But that's what makes it special this Christmas and this New Year. Today, again, I bring you another super interesting and very important guest. She is Cristina Adania Harumi from Brazil, Sao Paulo State. She is working at Mata Ciliar, which is a wildlife rescue that is doing super important work on protecting Brazilian fauna. Welcome, Cristina. It's an honor to have you.
And thank you very much, Fabrizio. I'm work at ecological entity, Mata Ciliar, and I'm sorry because I don't speak English. And I will try to explain our work here in Brazil. And I'm 60 years old. I work since more than 40 years with wildlife, and our entity is 33 years old. So we have a lot of experience, and it's very important to talk with you and David because you are so young, and someone and who works with me needs to keep continuous, right? Unfortunately, our fauna is suffering a lot. Mainly these last years, our law is more fragile. Law who protect our animals fragile, and we need to keep working.
Exactly. And that's what makes the work of her and the involvement of local communities, of, of everybody, even us, in this change to protect our planet, our fauna, our environment. Before we continue, I would like to present you to David. David is from Belo Horizonte and he will be part translator, part second interviewer. He will be aiding me in the interview, and also, more importantly, he will be aiding Cristina. So if you see her speaking in Portuguese or him in Portuguese, it is because he's translating to keep going the interview. If you are Portuguese speaking and you are seeing this, well, congratulations, because part of this interview will be in Portuguese. So that's very good. Well, Cristina, before, David, could you give us a little introduction, Mata Ciliar? On the
Well, in Brazil, it is a very known institution. Everyone that searches about zoos and conservation in general knows about Mata Ciliar, which is an NGO that looks for conservation, for biodiversity, and rescue of the needed animals of many situations that make this wildlife suffer. Brazil being one of the most biodiverse country in the world, we are also suffering. We are also one of the countries that mostly suffer with the loss of this wildlife. And it's very important to have an institution just like Mata Ciliar. It is, as Cristina said, it's already an old institution. It keeps a lot of experience already. And it's a big pleasure for both of us to receive her here, to be able to have the contact with an institution like this. And I would like to thank her and to start the interview right now. Then.
thanks,
It's my pleasure.
my pleasure to both of you. Well, as you mentioned, Cristina, you have had more than 40 years of experience working at Mata Ciliar and rescuing native fauna. What can you tell us about the origin of Mata Ciliar? How did it start? What inspired you to make this place, to make this dream come true, and to put your put your put your sand in the work of Brazil?
Right. Well, without dreams, you don't live, right? So 30 years ago, we started working with fauna. I'm a vet, and the animals come from the nature, and day by day, we receive more and more fauna from the nature. And we know that the problems are in the nature. They are destroying the nature. So we need to keep the animals in the nature. It's not possible just to receive and take care of them and after release. It's necessary to stop the animals come from the wild. Understand? Because when the animal come to this kind of center, rehabilitation center, it's so difficult to, our goals is to release, but it's so difficult to release because we need to take care of them. We need to rehabilitate. We need to make a lot of things. And after release, we have a lot of keepers, animal keepers. We need medical stuffs. We need enclosures. We need a lot of money and time to dedicate for those animals. And sorry em português, quanto mais a gente recebe, mais animais chegam a nós.
Yeah, just to translate this expression she used, the more we receive the animals, the more we take care of them, more animals we receive. Yeah, Cristina was saying a very interesting point because we gotta establish the problems in the wild because we cannot only take care of the animals in the institution, we have to stop the problems that make them come to happen. And this is one of the big difficulties, right?
Right. So we need, if you want to keep the animals in the wild, if you want to keep animals safe in the nature, because the welfare for wild animals is é oferecido pela natureza, não por nós.
Yeah, it's offered by the nature, not by us.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's offered by the nature. Sorry, Fabrizio.
Don't
So if you like wild animals, if you like animals, you need to work with people, right? And mailing rural people in the rural community who take care of the nature today. It's not possible to work in São Paulo city, in the big cities, right? It's necessary to work with rural community. This is why we work with rural communities to keep the animals in the nature. Mailing Mata Ciliar, riparian areas, the areas who are around the rivers, the streamlets, and the nascentes de água. Mata ciliar são as matas que cuidam das águas.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it is the plant that takes care of the water.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's
You speak Portuguese?
No, but I speak Spanish, so I may be able to understand a few of the words.
Okay.
But my God, this story is awesome, and it's a prime example of in situ conservation. And as you say, I had an interview some months ago with a pretty good conservationist from UK, but that has been working in Mauritius to save more than 10 different species of animals. And what he says is that sometimes the work needs to be done in the place and not get the animals to a zoo or to a place far away from where they live from. And that's a very huge emblem and a very huge thing that Mata Ciliar is doing, just taking care of the animals in their nature, in the place where they have lived all their life, to take care of them, rehabilitate them, and then release them again.
Yes.
Also, another interesting point about what you said. Of course, the work Mata Ciliar does, it's very important. But if the problems were stopped, like the problems, I mean, like the destruction of the forest, overgrazing, and all that problems that affect rainforests and the different biomes in Brazil, then the work that Mata Ciliar did would be more easy, right? Or there would be less animals arriving to the site and needing care.
Okay. May I answer in Portuguese? Better for me?
Sure.
Ok, David. Eu entendi que ele pergunta se vem menos animais ou mais animais, é isso?
Ele perguntou, por exemplo, quando temos menos riscos na natureza, quanto mais a gente diminui os riscos na natureza, mais fácil ou menos complexo se tornaria o trabalho da instituição, da Mata Ciliar.
Sim. Uhum.
Ele fala um pouco sobre isso, que como a gente agindo nessas comunidades, a gente exercendo melhoras no ambiente natural, como se tornaria menos complexo o trabalho da instituição.
Certo. Acho que é importante dizer, David, que a Associação Mata Ciliar, ela começou com a preocupação da água, que é o que hoje vive o Brasil, um grande problema da água. Ou é a falta d'água, claro, muita falta d'água, as nascentes estão sendo destruídas, os rios poluídos, hidrelétricas se instalando sem necessidade nenhuma, destruição. E como é que um país tão rico de água, né, de recursos hídricos, ela está com falta d'água? Então, é justamente pela falta das matas ciliares. E que porque as matas ciliares protegem os rios, assim, as águas, assim como os nossos olhos, porque o ciliar vem dos cílios, assim como os nossos cílios protegem os nossos olhos. Então, acho que é importante dizer que, se você cuida da natureza, a fauna faz parte e a fauna é necessário estar na natureza para manter aquela floresta de pé. Hoje nós temos um processo que se chama desertificação, e isso está acontecendo muito no sul do Brasil e no norte e nordeste do Brasil, não é? Porque sem matas ciliares, o processo de desertificação inicia, e não é aquele deserto rico como o deserto do Saara. É um deserto que não tem água, não cresce uma erva daninha. Por isso, a necessidade de cuidar com a água. Foi assim que a gente iniciou o trabalho.
Right, so Cristina started saying about the origin of the institution and its name, because Fabrizio mentioned how preserving the nature would be easier. We wouldn't need so much work to preserve the species. And Cristina explained, Mata Ciliar is the vegetation that goes around the rivers, around the water streams. So people are destroying this in a rich country in water and natural resources such as Brazil. We have lack of water nowadays. We have reduction of biodiversity also due to the destruction of this vegetation around the rivers. This lets the river unprotected because Ciliar means eyelashes in English, and the eyelashes protect our eyes. The vegetation protects the river and the water that goes there. We unbalance the whole nature when we destroy this vegetation, and the all the parts of the nature, the species of animals, the species of plant, the humans suffer with the lack of resources.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a huge topic, and it's very sad to hear about. Also, you mentioned desertification in and how it affects. It also involves climate change in here, and yeah, I believe that of all the countries of Latin America, the country that has seen the effects of climate change and of habitat destruction more vividly, it's Brazil, where it's starting with the fires in the Amazon earlier last year, I think, and with all the things that are happening over there, it's oh my god, it's really a bad thing
sad.
what's going on in our world, in all the world right now. And
Yes,
something that has, how can I say it, like mm, something that many of my guests are uh, agree on the same is that if we do not stop, if we do not do the change right now, in 20, in 30, in 4 years, probably it will be too late for us to to try to not to protect nature. How can I say it? Like it will be too late to do the change because in that point we will be so overloaded with problems like the habitat loss and desertification, all that stuff that we will not be able to do something at that stage for the animal species that are still alive in that years.
yes. One example of this is Pantanal. I went to Pantanal on August, on September, and the fire terrible. And we lose a lot of animals. And next year, if it will the fire come again, it's not possible. It's difficult to say, but I think they are not going to survive for one fire like this. Every year we have fire, but this year it was so big fire. And unfortunately, I don't know if you are understand me or it's better to speak in Portuguese.
I understand you perfectly, actually.
Yeah? Okay. And the problem is the government, right? In Brazil, the last years, 3, 4, 5 years, unfortunately, the law who protect the nature, they are more not strong, right? So the people start to hunt animals, wild animals. The people are destroying the nature, putting fire, everything, and they don't make the lack the elo. They don't make
Like a link.
a link, right? Sorry, they don't make a link about the quality of your life, of our life with the nature. This is the problem. They
Yeah.
think that we are survive forever, and you say it won't be possible. The nature are finishing. We have a limit, right? And we need to start now. We need to fight. And you guys, David, and you, Fabrizio, you are amazing because you are the voice of your um, of the young people, the students. It's we are in your hands, because the students need to talk, discriminate. You need to. So for me, it's a pleasure. And unfortunately, I don't speak in Portuguese, in English. I would like to say, let's go do it, but it's not easy.
I understand, Cristina. Thanks for your words. And yes, it's actually, I think that more involvement with the youth in all the world in conservational matters, because really I feel bad to say it, but many of the young people I know, they don't really care or are interested in the environment, and that's very sad, you know.
Yeah,
Also, now that you mentioned about the Pantanal, we are having an interview soon on the channel with Dr. Arnaud Despies, a specialist in the giant armadillo in Brazil too. He went to Pantanal in this December, so we couldn't have the interview. But possibly it will air on January. I hope so. That in
great.
January it will be able.
Is he Brazilian?
Yeah, he's Brazilian.
His name is?
Or I don't know how to pronounce it very well, but Arnaud Desbies.
Oh,
Arnaud.
Arnaldo. All right.
Arnaud, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Okay, great.
continuing on. This interview is going super well, Cristina, so don't worry. We are going fine. And raising awareness, I think we are doing more than raising awareness. We're really making people interested in the environment. And if this video, I ask you to please do so, share it with all your Portuguese friends, with all your Brazilian friends you can, so they can see the work of one of the main wildlife rescues in Brazil.
Yeah.
Continuing with the questions. Now that you told us about the origin of Mata Ciliar, what can you tell us about the animals you keep in the place now because they couldn't be released into the wild?
Oh, we keep a lot of animals, and we have two centers in Jundiaí, very near from São Paulo, at Mata Ciliar. Two centers. One is Rehabilitation Center for Wild Animals, and we have man wolves, we have armadillos also, we have um, many animals, a lot of birds, a lot of reptiles. We have anteaters also, a lot of monkeys. You know, the biodiversity in Brazil is very rich. So we have a lot of animals, but unfortunately, many of them in danger situation, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
also we have a research for conservation center for felines, wild felines.
Oh,
Então, we have about 15 jaguars and pumas. Yes, amazing. They are very, very strong, and they are very beautiful. Our jaguars unfortunately came very young as a baby from the wild, and they lose their parents.
yeah.
Yes, by the fire, destroying the nature and
Hunting
everything.
and yeah.
Yes, and then we keep in enclosures. But the idea is to release. Maybe it's possible, right? So we have a big enclosure here also, and maybe a baby of the jaguar could uh, could be training for release after. Ai, será que eu falei certo, David?
Sim, falou
Sorry,
sim.
my...
No, don't worry.
So we have a lot of cups also, and a lot of zookeepers.
That sounds wonderful, really. And as you mentioned, we are not having David out of the interview. Now it's the moment, David. What are your thoughts on what Cristina has said up to now?
Excuse me, what I think about?
Yeah, your thoughts. What do you think?
Oh, it's been great until now. I think she said a very important topic right now, right before, about how people tend to think we preserve nature just because it's beautiful. People tend to think, oh, why are we going to preserve this species of monkey? Why can't we cut the trees in the Amazon rainforest? People don't understand that there is a link. We simply don't live anymore if the nature gets destructed until one point. There's a point that our lives will be deeply changed if we don't start changing stuff. I think this is the main point that we should pass for the people, the integration between the real life and the conservation. And this interview has been really amazing for that. I think we are discussing this really well until now.
Mhm.
I agree totally with you. Really, very interesting topic. Well, next question. Why is it important? Well, yeah, why is it important to conserve felines and all of these species of Brazil? Are there any species locally endangered? Or like, for example, in smaller countries like here in Panama, we have locally endangered species. With a smaller country, the densities tend to vary, and when lesser numbers of that species are found, then we say it is locally endangered. What is the current situation with felines or other species apart from the jaguar? And this jaguar in Brazil, like, uh, how are they doing? What are their traits? Why is it important for the people to conserve them?
Of course, each animals is important because they belongs to a cadeia alimentar. They are part of the circle, right, of life, and they have a ecological function. They have a ecological activity. So they are very important, mailing felines, because the felines, they are top of the pyramid,
The alimentary
pyramid.
chain, yeah, or
Yes,
pyramid.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And if you lose this animal, of course, you start to lose everything under him, right?
Yeah,
Because the circles will be affecting and is not possible to survive. For example, a jaguar. Without jaguar, the jaguar is a very important indicator for the quality of the nature. If you have a jaguar in the nature, it means the quality of the nature is very high. Understand why?
yeah.
Because we have water, we have other animals, we have plants, we have everything that keep the nature very
Healthy, yeah.
rich. Yes, health, right? And without them, of course, we start to destroying.
If
Understand?
we have
Yeah,
jaguars, all
yeah.
the chain is balanced, right? It
Yes,
means that all the parts of the environmental chain in that place are well balanced, are healthy. Like,
Now that you
yeah.
mention a prime example of this, it's also happening with amphibians. It probably for many amphibians don't have a really important place on the food chain or they have a niche. But the thing is that in reality, when there's less populations, when populations start to decrease, I don't know how to pronounce that word. Oh my god, chytridiomycosis, which is the fungus what that is causing several problems on amphibian populations around the world. When they start disappearing, there's an abundance of insects, right? Well, the same would happen in this case. If a jaguar disappears, then the prey it ate would start to increase without control. Then,
One example, yes, yes, Fabrizio. One example is the problem that we have with capybaras. We have a lot of capybaras. And why? First, because we destroy the nature. And second, we destroy the animal who eats capybara. So we need to control, right? And this is a problem. And rats, why we have a lot of rats who brings a lot of diseases for us? Because once again, we don't have the snakes. And it's the same with frogs, right?
yeah,
The amphibians. We
yeah,
are destroying.
they ate insects, and now when they are not, the insects proliferate. Yeah, this is really a topic that needs to be discussed and people should know about because think it or not, when you kill an animal, that leads to an action, like action and consequence. You kill one, the consequence, the booming in the population of its prey, and then more problems come around. Yeah, really.
Yes, I think the people needs to understand that we have a very complex problem. It's not easy like this. Let's do it. If this animal is a problem, just kill them. It's not easy. It's not possible, right?
No.
You need to research. We need to study. We need to act. We need to save, not destroy, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, mm, why are captive breeding programs for the species the endangered species Mata Ciliar works with important? Well, how do I call this? The NGO is Mata Ciliar, right? But you have the
Right?
centers. Oh well, yeah, I will say Mata Ciliar is the NGO. Why the captive breeding programs for the endangered species you have are important for conservation?
I didn't understand the question.
Do you prefer if David translates it?
This question, yes,
Okay. Well, David.
because we have nós tivemos um corte. Eu tive um corte.
Oh, yeah.
Ele pergunta em como, por que e como são importantes, como auxiliam os programas de conservação, nesse caso, Exito, para os felinos que vocês mantêm na instituição, na Mata Ciliar.
Mm-hmm. So, because we are losing, nós estamos, eu vou falar em português, tá? O Exito, o trabalho em cativeiro, é muito importante, o trabalho de uma maneira geral, com todos os zoológicos, criadouros, como uma meta-população. Não adianta trabalhar isoladamente. Eu tenho meu criador, ele tem o zoo dele, ele tem outro zoo. É preciso trabalhar todas as instituições por uma espécie que está ameaçada porque ele não tem mais... existe uma escassez muito grande de território natural para ele, como é o caso da onça pintada. Você quer traduzir? Depois eu continuo.
She says it's very important that mainly in ex-situ conservation for the felines, for the cats in general, that institutions cooperate it's not worth to do it separately. There's no way to do it. It's a very big task to be done by one zoo or one institution. If we work together, we will be able to
You'll be able to do a better work. I understand
balance
that.
the
Sim. E porque depois disso, você pode ter um programa de reprodução, você pode ter um programa, inclusive, de soltura de animais na natureza, desde que você, paralelamente, possa estar trabalhando com a conservação e o aumento, o potencial, né, daquela floresta para conservar esses animais. Eles precisam de grandes territórios. Então, o cativeiro ele é possível ser um banco genético, desde que você cuide também do território natural.
Yeah, in the situation we need to keep both of them very balanced, right? Because it's not, we don't achieve the goals keeping only the environment healthy, not even keeping only a healthy population in captivity. You need both of them allied. In a way, you can release animals back to the wild if you need, and this wild place needs to be in a good condition to receive those animals that you are keeping and breeding in captivity, right?
And creating a genetical bank in case of something happens. Well,
yes.
Now that also people, I will leave you in the suggestions up to go watch my latest video, which was about the pygmy hawk with filmographer Daniel Craven from the UK. Well, the pygmy hawk is also a big example of what Cristina just mentioned. That species is so rare in the wild, and thanks to the breeding program, the captive breeding program, they have released in 2016 their 100th pygmy hawk into the wild, and more are being released. So you can go watch it. By the way, the second episode will air or aired on December 25th. On Christmas Day, it is a gift for you. Well, Christina, yeah, actually, breeding programs are the reason why many species are surviving. And another example of a Brazilian species would be the Lear's macaw, I think. It was, yeah, Lear's macaw, which was extinct to the wild. And thanks to the breeding programs in Brazil and in other parts of the world like Singapore and Belgium, really take off, and now they are being reintroduced into the wild too.
Sim. I knew about this. I don't know if they are reproducing. I think it's not in the nature.
Oh, in the
No,
nature.
sorry. É porque eu soube desse programa, mas eles foram para conservados na Bahia e eles foram soltos agora, né? Essas ararinhas. Só que
esse
eu não.
programa seria para ararinha azul, não para arara azul de Lia, correto?
Para
Arara azul de
ararinha
Lia,
azul.
ainda temos indivíduos na natureza, né?
Isso.
A de Lia.
Exato.
Okay.
Então, não, mas é que na verdade o cativeiro esse é um exemplo de o cativeiro ajudando muito a natureza, com certeza. Outro programa é o mico-leão dourado aqui no Brasil. Também aconteceu.
Então, tanto a arara azul de Lia quanto o mico-leão dourado, muitos zoológicos hoje, muitas instituições pelo país já conseguem reproduzir satisfatoriamente essas espécies, né? Não sei se já houve solturas de indivíduos provenientes do zoológico, mas que hoje nós temos uma população considerada saudável de ambas as espécies, a gente pode dizer que estamos começando a ter essa população, né?
Isso. Sim, mas não adianta nada a gente ter em cativeiro se a gente não puder ter aonde soltar. Isso que é o mais importante. E uma outra coisa que seria legal falar é sobre o estudo da reprodução assistida. Aquilo que passou para os animais domésticos, hoje nós temos para os animais selvagens. Então, a reprodução assistida, como inseminação artificial, como transferência de embriões, fertilização in vitro, ajuda também na reprodução desses animais. Principalmente quando você, assim, com espécies grandes, principalmente como as onças pintadas, quando você não precisa de reproduzir tantas espécies, se você consegue manter um banco genético num botijão de nitrogênio. Você entendeu?
Yes.
Então,
Yeah.
esse tipo de estudo é importante.
Yeah. Just to explain what she said, it is also important to do the assisted reproduction, or something like we did with pets in the past, now we do with wildlife too. Sometimes it is possible to keep frozen genes from the animals in laboratories or stuff, to in the future inject them in a female of the species to bring a needed and healthy population to this technology, as she said, is nowadays present in the conservation of wildlife too.
Yeah, which includes, as you mentioned, AI and in vitro fertilization, which actually has been, well, mainly in big animals like elephants, jaguars, and felines,
Yes.
and but
Embryo transfer.
embryo transfer too. Yeah,
Yes.
but I think that there may be, if of course with all due research, this could be applied to smaller species like small monkeys or rodents and that type of animals. But well, going back to the topic, now that you mentioned this, what would you, of course, assisted reproduction and reproduction in general of these felines is quite a bit difficult, right? You know, they need to have their space, more privacy. They are shy animals that, you know, that don't. How can I say it without it sounding, you know, but they don't like to. They can breathe with a lot of stress or people watching all over you, you know. So what would you say are the difficulties of rehabbing? uh, these are like two questions but in one, you know. What would be the difficulties rehabbing and breeding felines? We will try to focus this interview more on the felines of the Feline Research Center of Mata Ciliar.
Em português, sorry.
Okay.
No problem. I will try in English. We keep them in big enclosures, and here at Mata Ciliar, we don't have it public. So no stress with public, right? But it's very important in the zoos. They keep animals also, they keep jaguar, but they have a very nice enclosure, and the animal needs to feel saved, you know, in big enclosure, in the high positions. The public here, the animal here. So for them, it means security, right? Understand?
Of course, really, yeah.
Se eles ficam em cima, numa posição de segurança, o público, ele mais num local abaixo, eles vão ficar, os animais se sentem melhores.
Por isso que é tão importante a gente modernizar os recintos de tantos zoológicos que a gente tem hoje no país, né, que não seguem esses...
Exatamente, não é aquele tipo, exato, não é aquele tipo fosso, sabe? Onde você olha o animal e taca coisas. São recintos onde você pode ver os animais em bom estado e de natureza, né? Então, o mais importante que eu quis dizer com tudo isso é que a educação ambiental já começa com um tipo de recinto, mostrando o animal em comportamentos naturais e em recintos muito bonitos.
Afinal de contas, se o animal não apresenta o comportamento natural, não tem por que realizar educação ambiental naquele lugar, né? Se o animal não está com seu bem-estar
Exatamente.
da forma que se deve,
Exatamente.
né?
Exatamente. E os
Just
zoos estão
translate.
mudando.
Yeah, thank goodness. Just to translate this that we talked a little here, she talked about how important the ambientation of the zoo exhibits are for the reproduction. Like, for example, as she said, in Mata Ciliar, there's no visitors, but in many zoos that also develop the reproduction of these animals, there are many visitors. And you have to make an environment for the animal that it feels safe, as she gave the examples of higher platforms where the animal can stay above to the public, and also places to hide. This way they can develop their natural behavior. And at the end, we said a little bit that there's no way to have environmental education, which is another very important objective of the modern zoos. We cannot have them if we don't provide the animal the opportunities to be happy, to develop their behaviors. So if we want to have good environmental educations, we need to provide the animals the opportunities to be himself, to be his species, right?
Yeah, so the thing is that wild animals as pets are really a thing that I don't understand very well. In that, in most of the cases, those people don't provide the, you know, some of them do, but some others don't provide the necessary or the adequate enclosures or the adequate things an exotic animal needs. So, so yes, this it's again a very interesting thing to talk about. You know, Christina, sorry for that. I would love to see the center one day and to see all the work firsthand in Brazil and in Mata Ciliar.
Yes. Please come to see you and David. David is here in Brazil. Easy. My center is in Jundiaí, very near from São Paulo. And we have a lot of animals. We have a place to receive you. So don't worry about this. And please come.
Oh, thanks a lot, Christina. Really, even I heard that you sometimes in the center you rescue up to 200 animals per day. Is that true?
How many animals?
200 animals a day.
Dois o quê?
200.
Yes. So, as a rehabilitation center, we want to receive only animals from the region, and it's easy to release after, right? But unfortunately, we receive many animals from the traffic because they don't have place to put them. So last month we received 166 parrots.
Wow.
Very little, without feathers, and a lot of noise. And you needed to take care of them one by one, you know, por
Wow,
And one day we received 500 animals, birds and turtles, just because the Ibama, the police, don't have place to put them, so they bring here, and we need to take care of them. 500 animals, one day, is not easy.
well,
Unfortunately, yes,
well,
captivity in Brazil means, unfortunately, means Uh, the problem is happening in the nature.
Yeah. Just as a curiosity, how many enclosures do you have in the institution? Like it's so many animals to hold. Like you must have a lot of enclosures.
Um, I have a lot of enclosures. I think more than 100 and a half, but
Wow.
I have big enclosures for to release animals. But we have a lot of problems. When you say enclosure, is not only the big enclosures for jaguar. When the birds come, we need to keep them in small cages because we don't have place. So we have a lot of difficulties. And the idea is not to be a abrigo.
Shelter, like a
Yes,
shelter.
we
Yeah.
Shelter.
don't want we don't want to be a shelter. We want to receive, take care, and after
Mhm.
release. This is the idea. But unfortunately, we need to take care of the other animals, right? And for us, if the animals have a welfare without one leg, a tail, or one wing, we
You-
need it's our compromise, is right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's our responsibility to give them a good life in captivity. I don't agree with euthanasia.
Euthanizing. Yeah,
Yes,
and you know,
euthanasia only when the animals is not possible to save.
there's
And
nothing else to
then,
in. Yeah, but
Yeah.
exactly, and that's a thing that many people have been doing, and it's something that I think it's inhumane because okay, if the animal doesn't have a leg or doesn't have a wing, but it is healthy, it can live, why don't you provide him a home, not just euthanize it because you can release it into the wild, right? Yeah,
yes, yes. And they can reproduce also, right? And they
Oh
exactly.
can
yes.
show to the children, to the public, what is happening in the nature, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
captive breeding programs. And well, people, I think with what Christina just said, it is a reason good enough to donate to Mata Ciliar because they they do a lot of work. You know what's caring for 500 animals in the same day? Yeah, that's a lot, and they need the donations. This year has been difficult for all of us, and all the NGOs that I have talked with, representatives from those NGOs, they are all in need of funds, of help. So if you want to donate to Mata Ciliar, please do so. This interview is informative, it's to raise awareness, and I think we have gave a lot of information on the work Mata Ciliar does. So feel free to
Yes.
donate.
But first is necessary David or you, Fabrizio, come here and to see our work, right?
Yes, it
Yeah,
will be a big pleasure to go there.
for
Yes,
Please
me
come.
definitely.
too. And also to see all those native animals you care for and the rescue. By the way, I think it is good enough to say that before we started this interview, Christina had to rescue an animal today. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So, Christina, what was this secret animal you rescued?
A monkey. We have a local monkey here, endemic. We call them sawa. Is
Ah,
a
yes.
you know sawa?
It's the
Calicebus
it's the
personalis.
teaching monkeys.
Oh,
Titimon.
Titi.
Yeah, I
Right.
Okay.
don't know if it's the black fronted. Is it the black fronted one or I mean there are some
No,
species of
black
this monkey.
one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's the maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's the black fronted titi monkey. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. very beautiful
Great.
animals. You
Yeah.
know, our problem is that our nature, they are transforming in small islands. As cidades estão transformando o que resta de mata estão isolando em ilhas de matas remanescentes. Então, antes eles atravessavam essas ilhas de uma para outra através das árvores e hoje eles precisam fazer através do choque elétrico. Foi o que aconteceu com esse titimanque.
Oh, so he was electrocuted because, well, and that's an issue not only in here, but also in all Latin America. That with the creation of roads, with the creation of houses, more and more remnants of rainforest and populations of wild animals are becoming isolated from one another. And you know, in here
Yeah.
is when it comes and has already been implemented by the Mico Leal Dorado Foundation, and it is the wildlife bridges. In this case, and well, it's a perfect example, created for monkeys, you know, between the branches of the trees to the other place, and that avoids them from crossing through the electric um, cables, which is prejudicial because they can become electrocuted. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Your
I heard the
Portuguese is great.
yeah the zoological park of São Paulo. I've heard, I saw them publishing something once that they built some small bridges that link the zoo and the other part of Atlantic Forest in the other side of the street, so that the howler monkeys, the bugios, and the other native monkeys could cross it without being ran over, which sometimes unfortunately happens. And this is already one action that helps. Of course, the idea would be to have the forest like an ecological corridor or something, but it starts to help to avoid some running overs by cars, by trucks, especially in that avenue from São Paulo Zoo, which has a lot of vehicles, right?
Exactly, you're totally right. And well, here in Panama, we also it is not that common, but in the main highway, the Panamericana highway, we often see some passed over animals. But when we are going, it is already too late. You know, they are already dead. But something that I've ever, you know, like wanted to do is either building like a kind of wildlife bridge, or helping that wildlife that is trying to cross a highway or that, and you know, to help them. Because I've seen in here raccoons, it, it is sarigüeyas, it is called possums, also,
Oh yeah.
We have a
even,
lot of possums also.
yeah, here in America, it's actually like there are a lot of possum species all over the continent. And once I also saw a sloth. That was very sad one, yeah. And but
Oh,
yeah, we can do the change. We have it in our hands, and sadly, we cannot do it alone. We need the support of the government. And if the governments from around the world don't start supporting conservation, or don't start supporting environment protection, then this is going badly.
Yeah. Just and this is why we need to keep in work. Yes.
yeah.
Keep working on exactly, Christina.
Keep working. Yes.
Before we end this amazing interview and our first bilingual interview, thanks David for your contribution. Also, because the opinion you gave and the stories you gave about the situation in Brazil from a different point of view were also very good. So I always ask this to all my viewers, my guests, and it's something that has made has stayed in my channel over the months because we don't even have a year. So would you care to say a last inspiring message to our viewers about conservation, about rainforest, about our planet, about something that is from your heart that will make our viewers be inspired on helping conservation for the future?
Yes, I think I would like to say, don't keep wild animals as a pet, because for us it means that it means morte, death, right? Morte,
If
Yes,
you,
deaf,
yeah, that.
deaf.
If
death.
you want, you can say it in
Sorry.
Portuguese and then David translate it. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Yes. Remember that if we have a lot of problems with animal traffic animals here, it's because someone is buying the animal,
yeah,
right? And so it's necessary to fight. Don't keep wild animals as a pet. Don't keep monkey or lizard or
Parrot.
snakes, parrot. We have a lot of parrot here, and we need to spend a lot of money. We don't have enough employees. We work hard here, and just because one person wants a parrot as a pet, and here we keep the animals, just spend a lot of money, and unfortunately, the the man who is the trafficant, is
yeah. He
is
already got his money, so he's okay. He
yes,
Yeah.
never, he never actually cared for the animals, right?
yeah. Obrigada, David. Thank you very much for you, Fabrizio. Thank you very much, David, for your help. I'm
It was a
sorry
big
for
pleasure.
my poor English,
Oh
Oh
my
but
God.
no,
No,
don't
that's not
worry,
a problem.
Christina. It's actually very good because, and even I understand, I understood quite a bit of the Portuguese you two talked. So this was a wonderful interview. I also thank you to you
I,
two for helping raise awareness and for helping this go on and for inspiring people.
Yeah.
okay. Thank you very much.
Once
Well,
more, the possibility to have an institution such as Mata Ciliar and a professional like you in our interview talking to us is a big, big pleasure. You don't imagine how this enriched our knowledge. It was very, very good. We can only thank you. Thanks a lot, really.
yeah.
Obrigada.
I'm gonna leave you to my. Oh, were you
Opa,
going to say something? Oh, okay. I'm gonna leave you to my viewers the website, the donation webpage, and well, more information about Mata Ciliar down below. Please subscribe, like the videos. You can share them. We need to get to as many people as possible to inspire them and to keep raising awareness about NGOs and people like Christine and Mata Ciliar. Also, we would like to say that soon, probably, we will be going to do more interviews in half Portuguese, half English, or Portuguese, and then David translates it to English. And I don't know if you would like it, but it's a very good way to be bilingual and to have people from. Sorry for oh my god, this is super fun. Sorry.
emotion.
Well, this will go in the video. Yeah, I'm not cutting it. But to have people from around the world on this channel and to talk about a lot of species, lesser known and very known. So, well, David, Christina, a pleasure to have you here today and hope we can do more events together or more videos.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye,
Bye
thank
bye.
you.